10 things to know before you go to San Diego Comic-Con. In this video, I'll tell you everything you need to know to prepare to visit this convention. I'm Chris, this is Yellow Productions. I do travel guides that are fun, informative, and entertaining. And in this video, I'm going to be telling you about this great convention. San Diego Comic-Con has over 100,000 attendees over 5 days every summer in San Diego. It is a crazy convention. It is awesome. And so in this video, I'll tell you, again, these 10 things to know and tips. And I'll do it from 10 different vantage points. The first vantage point I'm going to start with is this one right here in front of the sideshow booth. But as I'm here, kind of walking around, I'm going to tell you that the first thing you need to know about San Diego Comic-Con is lines. San Diego Comic-Con is often referred to as Line Con because there are so many lines. There are lines to get in the morning, there's lines to pick up your badges, there's lines to get into Hall H, there's lines to get autographs, there's lines to pick up free stuff, and the lines, they can be pretty crazy. I mean, the people who stand in these lines are professional line standers. The line to get into Hall H, which is the big 6,000 seat hall where all the big names are, people often camp out overnight to get into Hall H. Ballroom 20, people can wait hours to get into those rooms. So what I will tell you is if you are planning to get into any of the big panels, make sure you are prepared for a very long line. You'll need to be dedicated. And if you get into a room like Hall H or Ballroom 20, you likely won't want to leave because if you do, you won't be getting back in. Typical professional Comic-Con attenders, I would say they often just pick one room and stay in it the whole day because of the hassle that it is to get in the room. Also, if you're like me and you don't like to stand in lines, I would encourage you to check Twitter. There are Twitter hashtags for the different lines. There's a hashtag Hall H, and there's also a hashtag B20. Those will be people tweeting out the status of how long those different lines are. The second thing to know about San Diego Comic-Con is costumes or cosplay. Well, I think one of the things that people know best about San Diego Comic-Con is people come here in very impressive costumes. If you are planning to come to the con in a costume though, I would highly encourage you to think about the heat. It is often very hot in San Diego during Comic-Con, so wear a cool costume. That Darth Vader costume you were thinking about wearing, you might be in a Darth Vader sauna by the end of the convention. Also, a popular event at Comic-Con is the Masquerade costume contest. And a lot of people think of the Masquerade and think of a ballroom type event, but the Masquerade is actually the big Saturday night stage show contest. There will often be over 50 contestants. You have to get a ticket to go to the Masquerade, but I love it. It's pretty awesome. I try to go to the Masquerade every year. You'll find links in the description of this video to some of the best cosplay from the 2016 Masquerade Ball. If you want to go to the Masquerade, those tickets are distributed free on Saturday, usually 9 o'clock, sometimes 4 o'clock. They distribute them at different times, but pick up one of the tickets early and then you'll be guaranteed a seat for the Masquerade later in the evening. The third thing to know about Comic-Con is it's not just all about comics. That's why I'm in front of Slimer right here. Lots of movies, sci-fi, and things like that have invaded Comic-Con. There is a section at Comic-Con about comics, but you'll actually find comics are now a very small part of this convention. It is best described, I would say, as a popular arts convention and not as much a comic book convention as it was when it first started out. Number 4, Comic-Con is really crowded. People like Deadpool, they're climbing up to try and get away from the crowds. But there are over 100,000 people that come to this convention every year, and so it gets really packed. So if you're someone who doesn't like crowds, you won't like Comic-Con. Be prepared to be close to 100,000 of your closest or farthest comic book, nerd-loving, geek-loving friends. Because it's crowded, prepare for it to take a long time to drive in, a long time to get in. Just be prepared for the things that usually happen when you have crowds. Sometimes you may end up in a mob as one of the halls is getting out. Just get used to it, be a sheep, and it's okay if you moo occasionally when you're in a big mob. Moo. The fifth thing to know about San Diego Comic-Con, it is expensive. You may spend a lot of money on souvenirs, toys, comic books, things from Star Wars. The admission to Comic-Con is fairly expensive, and the hotels are expensive. If you're flying here, the airlines all increase their airfares to come to Comic-Con. If you're local and you're trying to park at downtown San Diego, parking becomes $50 a night. I mean, it is an expensive proposition to come to San Diego Comic-Con. So a good tip I would give to you is plan to have a budget. It is easy to come in here and find that statue that you've always wanted, or that toy you've always wanted, or maybe you didn't know you want it. Like right here, I never even knew that I wanted a Hello Kitty Sonic the Hedgehog, but look at that. Luckily, well, hey, it's a Comic-Con exclusive, only $40, and you can easily trap yourself into buying all the con exclusives. So give yourself a budget and don't spend more than that. Otherwise, you might find yourself maxing out your credit cards and your ATM cards after you leave Comic-Con. The sixth thing to know before you come to San Diego Comic-Con, I was just talking about it, it's parking. Parking in downtown San Diego when Comic-Con is here is super, super crazy. When it was a small convention, you could park under the convention center. Well, you still can park under the convention center, but you have to have a parking reservation. Ace Parking has this event where they basically pre-sell almost all of the parking spaces in downtown San Diego, and they sell those out months before Comic-Con happens. The most coveted parking is the ones right under the convention center. The Hilton Bayfront is also pretty close. Sometimes I'll end up parking in Horton Plaza, but if you're coming down the day of Comic-Con and trying to find a parking space and you don't have one reserved, it's going to be tough. Particularly if you're looking for free street parking, that is almost non-existent unless you're willing to walk quite a few miles to get to Comic-Con. So I would suggest if you don't want to go crazy coming to Comic-Con, you either take an Uber in or take the trolley. The San Diego trolley will drop you off right in front of the convention center, and it's pretty cheap too. And during Comic-Con, they run extra trolleys that are like dressed up for Comic-Con with special kind of like stickers and wraps for Superman or whatever the theme of the year is. The seventh thing to know about San Diego Comic-Con is about the food. The food at the convention center is awful and expensive. You really won't want to be eating at the convention center unless you are really about to starve and collapse. My suggestion to you, if you're hungry and you're looking for food, the best food is out in the Gaslamp district. If you like cheap eats, one of my favorites is called the Kebab Shop. It is out on 10th and Market. I also really like Lolitas Tacos. That is right out on the corner of Petco Park. Those are both pretty good cheap eat options. There's like a food court in Horton Plaza. There's some Subways. There's some pizza places. There's lots of places to eat in the Gaslamp that are actually tasty. Another option that I know a lot of people do is bring some food or snacks with them. There's a Ralph's right out like 2 blocks in front of the convention center. So that's a great place to buy some cheap eats as well. But definitely skip the food at the convention center. The eighth thing to know before you go to San Diego Comic-Con is it's more than just what's inside the convention center. While I'm walking around the exhibit hall floor that's really cool, the con really extends to almost all of the Gaslamp district. There's stuff in the Hilton Hotel, the Marriott, the Hyatt, in Petco Park, in the Children's Museum, in the Horton Grand Theater. I mean, Comic-Con literally takes over downtown. Also, behind the convention center, there's stuff out in the parks. And even if you don't have a Comic-Con badge, a lot of the things outside the convention center hall you can get into for free. So make sure if you come to Comic-Con, you don't just stick around the convention center, but you really go all around the Gaslamp district. By the way, that thing, I don't know what it is, but it's really cool. The ninth thing to know before you go to San Diego Comic-Con is it's not just a daytime activity, but I would say the conference goes 24 hours a day for the whole weekend. It starts 6 p.m. Wednesday for preview night, but there's all-night anime, all-night gaming. You'll find things in the Gaslamp district that go pretty late into the night, midnight. And again, while the exhibit hall closes at 7, that's not the end of Comic-Con. So if you particularly come here to travel and you're staying downtown, you will find things to do all the time. But I would suggest to you that you actually get some sleep. You will want it, because if you spend a whole weekend not sleeping, well, guess what? You're gonna get sick. So you do need to go home, you do need to rest at some point. And if you're one of those people that are camping out for the Hall H line, well, you have a greater personal fortitude than I do, and I wish you luck. The 10th and final thing to know about San Diego Comic-Con is tickets. There are no tickets sold at the door for San Diego Comic-Con. All tickets are sold ahead of time, pre-registered. They usually have about 3 opportunities to buy tickets. The earliest opportunity is for people who are what they call pre-registered or in pre-registration. Those are people who have been to Comic-Con before. They give them an ahead chance of the public to buy tickets to go again a second year. If you've never been to Comic-Con, they'll have 1 or 2 open registration dates, and they basically send out an email to people who are registered to let you know about like a Saturday morning around 9 a.m. You have to log on to this website, and if you're randomly selected, then you get to buy tickets. The chance in the public sale is usually less than 10% to get a Comic-Con ticket. So if you ever do get a Comic-Con ticket, you should definitely try to keep getting in the pre-registration to make sure that you actually get to keep going year after year. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up below. If you think there's something I missed that other people need to know about visiting San Diego Comic-Con, leave a comment below for everybody else. And by the way, this final thing I'm walking by in the middle of the hall, that's a line. I mentioned it's Line Con. I don't know what they're standing in line for. Probably something free, something that's an autograph, but this is a typical thing that you'll see in here. But if you like this video and you'd like to see more like it, please consider subscribing, hit the notification bell if you'd like to get notified of the new videos that I publish, or you might enjoy watching some of my other videos from Comic-Con. I've got a lot of videos about best cosplay from the masquerade that I mentioned. You'll find links in the description below, or you can click here or here to watch some of those other videos. All right, thanks for watching. Bye-bye.